Now, as we do What's Right with Nick Wright presented by Visa, we get to the stadium behind me and the reason we're here, which is the Super Bowl. So, what our wonderful producers at Blue Duck here have said we should talk about is legacies. They write, the legacies of the Chiefs coach and quarterback combo will change this weekend. Who has more to gain, who has more to lose between Mahomes and Reid? All right, let me talk about this more to lose nonsense. And this is so much, and I'm sorry to once again bring up basketball, but so much of how the modern sports fan consumes content is actually it is media reverse engineering to explain the end point of the story being Michael Jordan's the greatest athlete ever. So what do I mean? What I mean is folks decided 10, 15 years ago in ways that never stand up to even the smallest logical push that losing in the playoffs is fine unless you get all the way to the final game of the season and lose that one, in which case you stink. It was a failure. And that is the context with which we could talk about Mahomes or Andy Reid's legacy taking a hit here. The reason that is an absurdity is because had Patrick Mahomes, in a game he was an underdog at home, had Patrick Mahomes, they actually went off as a slight favorite, but they were underdog most of the week, on one leg, lost to the Bengals last week, no one would be saying his legacy took a hit. Because you're allowed to lose pre-Super Bowl or pre-NBA Finals, and nobody cares. But it's idiotic. It makes no sense. It should always be good to win, and you should never get credit for losing earlier. And because along that same logic, Mahomes has had one playoff meltdown his entire career. The AFC Championship game last season. And nobody kills him for it. And it makes no sense because what I know is, had Mahomes not had that meltdown, played well in that game, and then lost the Super Bowl, all we'd be hearing this week is, the guy's 1-2 in Super Bowls. And it makes no sense on any level, but that's where this is coming from, right? So, Patrick Mahomes, what he has to lose is, I would argue, nothing. And similarly with Andy Reid. These are both made men, and they're playing an excellent team, overall team. And Mahomes already has elevated himself to a place faster than any athlete I've ever seen. And the place is this. He has not started 5 full seasons yet, and he already is in a spot where his only competition are ghosts and legends. Nobody can have the Mahomes versus Allen or Burrow or Trevor or Herbert or Hurts conversations. The only people he's competing with are Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana. Now that eventually, for LeBron, that eventually happened. But first it was LeBron versus Kobe. Then it was LeBron versus Durant. Then LeBron versus Steph. And only 16 years into his career did it become LeBron versus ghosts. For Tom Brady, for 12 years, it was Brady versus Manning. And then eventually it became 15 years, Brady versus ghosts. And then it became Brady versus no one. Mahomes already has elevated himself to that place. If he wins, you can make a very strong argument he's the second greatest quarterback of all time. There is no argument that he is not top 4 all time if he wins. The full list of quarterbacks in NFL history that have 2 Super Bowls and 2 league MVPs. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. With a win, Mahomes joins it. The full list of quarterbacks in NFL history that have 2 Super Bowl MVPs and 2 league MVPs. Joe Montana, Tom Brady, that's the list. Mahomes can join that group. For Andy, it is a very interesting spot. So the Andy Reid resume is, I think, far better than people think. So Andy Reid right now is 5th on the all-time wins list. Next year, he will become 4th. He is 3 behind Tom Landry. Tom Landry's at 250, Belichick's at 298, George Halas 318, Don Shula at 328. All-time playoff wins, Andy Reid has the 2nd most of all time. Andy Reid has been to, let me count them off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has been to 10 conference championship games. Andy Reid has been to the playoffs 18 times. He has been to the Super Bowl 4 times. If he wins, you start having the discussion, is he a top 5 coach ever? I would argue he already is a top 10 coach ever. But he starts getting in the true upper crest with a victory. And if he loses, I'm absolutely not going to be someone that kills a guy who all he has done is have average to slightly above average quarterbacks for the entirety of his career and had them have career years, and then finally got a great quarterback and they host the AFC Championship game every single year and make the Super Bowl 60% of the time.
It all kicks off Super Bowl Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.